Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, June 11th. A cool frontal system is edging its way towards the east coast this morning. There are some showers associated with this front, and because of the very slow movement, the threat of showers will continue all day long, and there can be an embedded strong to potentially severe thunderstorm or two as well in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. This front finally clears through the region late tonight. Friday is setting up to be a pretty decent day in the Mid-Atlantic region. However, things become quite unsettled over the upcoming weekend, and it looks like that unsettled weather pattern will continue right through perhaps the first half of next week. A slow-moving upper-level trough tends to build over the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. this weekend, with cool air in the upper part of the atmosphere and that slow-moving upper-level trough. The atmosphere will become quite unstable. It could be showers as early as late Saturday evening, and then more likely on Sunday, Monday, potentially, and on Tuesday as well. Kind of an atmospheric squeeze play setting up with this upper level trough sitting on top of the Mid-Atlantic region and surrounded by high pressure to the west and north, and more high pressure to the south and east, keeping it in place right through the middle part of next week. This is the current radar loop. Not all that impressive of a line right here. However, with the heating of the morning, the atmosphere will become increasingly unstable, and it could produce a strong thunderstorm or two. And again, this system slows down as it approaches the coastline. That will allow for the shower threat to continue through the day. Could even be some brief downpours associated with this slow-moving cool frontal system. Again, gets out of the picture overnight tonight. Friday setting up to be a nice day before the weather goes downhill this weekend and into the early part of next week. Well, let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's operational run of the GFS at 60. This is kind of a different view than what we're normally looking at. Instead of the CONUS view here, I'm looking at the North Atlantic zone. I want to show this atmospheric squeeze play that is setting up for the latter part of the weekend and the early part of next week in the Mid-Atlantic region. First of all, we're starting off the day. Warm conditions continue, high pressure ridging off the east coast, and here's an upper level trough situated over the upper Great Lakes, the southern part of Canada. Let's just move forward here, and what happens is the cool front slides slowly to the south and east, then it tends to weaken, but a cooler air mass does arrive by the early part of the weekend into the Mid-Atlantic region. You'll see we're setting up here now. Look at this forecast map for Saturday morning. First of all, notice upper level trough starting to kind of build into the Mid-Atlantic region. This is on Saturday now. Upper level ridging to its west and more upper level ridging to its east. And by the time we get into the latter part of the weekend, look at the Saturday night. We have upper level lows situated right over the Mid-Atlantic region with high pressure to the west and northwest and more high pressure to the east and northeast. This is kind of an atmospheric squeeze play. This system really has nowhere to go, and it'll sit and spin on top of the Mid-Atlantic region for the latter part of the weekend, well into the first half of next week. We get all the way now into Sunday. Look at this strong high pressure here, strong high pressure here, and a very slow moving, perhaps a cutoff low in the upper part of the atmosphere over the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, the weather will become increasingly unsettled over the upcoming weekend. Maybe showers as early as late Saturday night, more likely on Sunday and Monday, perhaps lasting into Tuesday as well. Well, in terms of the coolness of this air mass coming in this weekend, it is indeed cooler than normal for this time of the year. This is the 850 millibar temperature anomaly map as we start the day here on Thursday. Warmer than normal conditions hanging on in the east, well up in the 80s in most I-95 corridor locations today, as that cool front inches its way painfully across the region over the next several hours. But look at all this cooler than normal air currently over the Midwest and up across the southern part of Canada, where incidentally the remains of Tropical Storm Cristobal ended up right in this region right here, and it's leaving a chilly air mass in its wake. Let's move forward here. The cooler air starts to edge in during the day on Friday. A pretty decent day setting up for Friday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Kind of a break between what will happen over the weekend and what happens today. But look at this buildup of colder than normal air for this time of the year as we move into the Friday afternoon hours over the Great Lakes, well below normal. And that moves into the Mid-Atlantic region, again with that building upper level trough. Here's the Saturday afternoon forecast map. Definitely below normal temperatures, primarily holding the highs in the 70s on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe even Tuesday as well, which is pretty much below normal conditions for this time of the year. Look at that large, cooler than normal air mass. And once it arrives in this region, it'll kind of sit over the Mid-Atlantic region with that upper level trough. This is Sunday night and going all the way into Monday, and then finally let's go all the way to Tuesday morning. Still some remnants of that upper level trough and that cooler than normal air. And anytime you get cooler than normal air aloft this time of the year, the atmosphere can become quite unstable. Maybe you'll start off the day with clear skies, but then cumulus clouds will build with a kind of a steepening lapse rate. Strong sun this time of the year promotes heating in the lower levels of the atmosphere. If you have colder air than normal in the upper part of the atmosphere, that tends to cause upward motion, instability, maybe afternoon and evening showers, perhaps even thunderstorms as well. And again, I think we're setting up for an unstable atmosphere, certainly later Saturday, but definitely on Sunday and Monday, maybe even in Tuesday as well, with that cold air in the upper part of the atmosphere over the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's walk through the surface forecast maps. Again, the cool frontal system inching its way into the eastern seaboard area. It is a slow mover, and that will continue a threat for showers throughout the day. Maybe allow for the formation of a couple of strong to severe thunderstorms in the I-95 corridor region. And don't be surprised if there's some downpours associated with this. You can even see the GFS here by this evening producing some heavier rain right along the coast, certainly more likely at the coast, but even all the way back to I-95 itself, let's say across South Philadelphia, all the way down to D.C., can be some brief, heavier downpours with this slow-moving cold frontal system. But then overnight tonight, it gets on out of here. Here we are on Friday, kind of in between events here. Friday itself, probably a pretty decent day, probably a pretty warm day still, maybe 80 to 83 degrees for highs in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. But here goes that cooler air mass starting to build into southern Canada by tomorrow, and that edges its way into the Mid-Atlantic region by Saturday. Notice here, strong, cool Canadian high over the upper Great Lakes by early Saturday morning. Below normal temperatures, especially in the upper part of the atmosphere, moves into the Mid-Atlantic region and starts off the day dry. But watch what happens here. We start to get some instability type showers late in the day, and then with that upper level trough edging in, getting sandwiched between those high pressure areas, one to the west, one to the east. Instability will continue on Sunday. This is a Sunday morning forecast map. I expect showers on Sunday. Likelihood of showers continues into Monday as well. Look at this, even some heavier precipitation depicted here by the GFS by the time we get into Monday. And again, with that squeeze play in the atmosphere, this unsettled weather pattern continues right into Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday as well. So today, occasional showers in the I-95 corridor region, maybe a strong to severe thunderstorm as well. A nicer day setting up for Friday, but then the weather goes downhill this weekend. Maybe some shower activity by late Saturday night, perhaps even more likely Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.